This is Eric Adenge from Change Media. Today I'd like to talk about the radio studio environment. And this is the room where all audio content is created. So if you're interested in creating audio content, a radio studio is an important part of audio production. And we shall be taking a look at the radio studio and what needs to be done to it to make it good for sound production. As I speak, this studio is very quiet and the sound is very clear, just like it's supposed to be, especially when you're working with digital equipment. So what are some of the things that you expect to find in a radio studio? And I will start from the structure itself. You need to have a room that is well insulated, or as others like to call it, acoustically treated. And acoustic treatment involves putting panels on your walls, and the purpose of these panels is to reduce the noise by way of absorbing sound so that it does not bounce off walls. You will also find that a radio studio has carpets on the floor for the same purpose. A radio studio will have double doors. It will also have double mirrors, as well as insulation in between the doors and the mirrors. The purpose of this insulation is to keep the noise that is in the studio within the studio, and the noise that is outside the studio out of the studio. Now, the other thing that you'd expect to get in a studio, of course, is the mirrors that you can see through to the other areas of the studio, especially when you need to use two rooms to record, where you have one person on the controls like here and another person on the other side. You will need your mirrors to be able to see what's going on there and to be able to communicate if you're using sign language. But of course, you can also use the intercom for that. A radio studio would also have a cue light on the door, and that is to help someone to know when you are on air. And the moment that you hit your microphone fader, like I have done here, you will notice that there's a red button that also comes on outside on the wall. And this is to tell people that the studio is busy and they should not get in. The other thing that you'll find in studios, especially on the roofs, is an AC. Electronic equipment, like many other kinds of technologies, will need to be cool in order to function properly. So the purpose of the AC is to do exactly that, to keep the room cool. You will also have a clock in a studio like this one. And the setup that we have here is largely for what we call a production studio. There may be a few more equipment if we're talking about a live studio. So let's take a brief look at the equipment that you find in the studio. In the center of any radio studio, you're going to find a mixer. And a mixer is what brings sort of everything together in a radio studio. You will also find monitors, studio monitors, and as the name suggests, these are for monitoring sound in your studio. You can also do that using headphones, as I am doing right now. The reason why I have headphones and I'm not using the monitors is because I cannot have my microphone and my headphones on at the same time, because currently I am using the studio microphone to record my audio so that I can get as best audio as I can. So to avoid getting feedback between the headphones and the microphone, you have to use headphones as opposed to monitors, which will give you that feedback if both the monitors and the microphones are on. So headphones are a key component in a studio. We have our digital audio working station, which is a PC installed with the software of your choice. In this case, we have Adobe Audition that we then use to record, but also to do any post-production in it. We'll probably have another tutorial on that later on. And then we also have a headphone controller. This is where we connect all our headphones. We have a smaller monitor. This is used for previewing, that is playing out and listening to a signal or audio before it actually gets out of the mixer. Now, some people will call this a mixer. Some people will call it a console. It is also called a soundboard. So whatever name you come across, we are talking about the same thing. Now, what is the purpose of a mixer or a soundboard? There are three main purposes that a mixer has or performs. And one, as the name suggests, is to mix. And that means that you are able to get in different signals and to mix them together as you feed them to whatever output device, for example, if you're recording them or if you're broadcasting. So a mixer can be able to mix two different signals together, maybe audio from somebody's voice and music. The other function, main function of a mixer is to amplify. When you talk into a microphone, the audio that you get is a very small signal or a very weak signal. For you to be able to use it further to do many other manipulations within the studio, you need to amplify it. So a mixer is the first point that begins that amplification process. We have various other amplifiers, for example, in the studio monitors. So the second purpose then becomes to amplify. And lastly, a mixer also routes your audio signal. That is to determine which path the signal will take. I can have a signal getting into the microphone and coming to the headphones. I can have a signal going into the digital audio workstation, or I can have a signal going out to something like a transmitter. So that is what we call routing. Then, of course, you have the microphone, which is probably a very critical piece of equipment in any radio studio. A radio studio works with sound. That sound is captured by a microphone, and that is the purpose of a microphone in this studio. So this is the kind of environment that you will find yourself in if you're looking to create any audio content. And I hope this has been helpful for all those that are looking forward to educating, entertaining, informing, or persuading their audience through the power of audio. Thanks for watching. See you next time.